think that's what really gives us the proper kind of scale.
This used to be my favourite set.
Wow, like that's it.
You know, I was nearly crashing the car because it was just so beautiful.
Blowing my mind. Someone told me that in Spain. It gets messy.
It just makes everything a little bit more exciting.
Episode 5 is called Regent, and it's, you know, that obviously refers to Aemond taking control.
And cast, thank you guys, thank you very much, thanks.
This episode is very much a power grab, people vying for power, but also it's very much about that happening through grief.
So when we meet Corlys in episode 5, he's devastated. She gets the death, I guess, that she would want, in the sense that I think Baylor says it, you know, she dies by dragonfire. But of course, that doesn't take away the pain. Sitting in the Hall of Nine, but it means nothing to him anymore because she's gone.
Steve is an incredible actor. He has such deep soul to all of his performances. When you're dealing with grief, I don't really talk to them that much about it. It's such a vulnerable place to be mining your grief of your own personal life, which is kind of what you have to do. And then let them find it and you see what they bring. And with Corlys, I had no clue that he was going to have this tear, like this silent tear roll down his face. So it was incredibly moving to see it.
That was a beautiful scene. Corlys was shot in the Hall of Nine, which had to be a blue screen because the original big set, we don't have it anymore. So what we did is we built part of it and then everything else was a blue screen. So that was a nice challenge.
The advantage was we had shot on season 1, so we knew what the set was, we knew how the set felt, and also the actors, or Steve himself obviously had worked in that set extensively on season 1, so he knew kind of where he was, even though 90% of it was blue.
So this used to be my favourite set, and I don't know what they've done with it. It's now a warehouse, and I'm embarrassed and hurt, personally offended by it, but I'm sure with the CGI stuff it'll look wonderful.
Cyclops is really helpful, especially in sets like Hall of Nine, because the cameras and us understand exactly what we're seeing wherever we place the camera in that environment.
The Cyclops that visual effects guys use is enormously important, and especially for directors and actors as well, to be able to look around a blue screen stage and then see what the final image will be.
That's brilliant.
This is the best set, you know.
We had a fully textured scan of the set, and I remember opening the scan and going, wow, like that's it, you know, like literally the kind of the fine detail. So it was a pretty straightforward rebuild for us because we had all of the material.
The cost of rebuilding the whole set for that, as opposed to picking our angles and saying, right, we need this angle, we need that angle, we don't need that. We worked it out, what was essential to build and what could be put in digitally to recreate the set and not have to build the whole thing again. And that hopefully has proved very successful.
Cut.
Behold, the traitor dragon Meleys!
Parading Meleys' head, it's sort of grotesque. It's also a reminder of a battle gone bad. And also, Cole perceives quite quickly has the reverse effect of what is intended. It's intended to be a sort of rallying call to the people of King's Landing. Look how we're doing. But of course, the people of King's Landing see the beginnings of nuclear warfare. And they're like, I want to get out.
It's an abomination.
Don't they realize we won the battle?
Strange victory.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. Anytime I get to work with Clare Kilner is a joy.
and she makes me laugh very, very much. And I think she takes some sort of small pleasure in watching me and Freddie struggle on these horses. It was really, really great.
The way we shot it is big parade, streets of Spain, streets of Trujillo, and streets of Backspot, and the whole procession, and it's Melis's head, which it was just like a big blue head. But I think once the whole scene is finished, and once you can actually see that dragon head, it's going to be quite amazing.
Rhaenyra will answer this.
So that's obviously will be a fully CG dragon head. Kind of more complicated than some in that, you know, a lot of blood and guts and gore. In all of our sequences, the starting point is always an incredible concept. And so there was a lot of iterations that went through to get the right type of dragon head, the right amount of gore and blood. And we'll literally be taking that, you know, those concepts and making them real. But the dragon head was created from our real dragon head model and then scaled down a little. And we had the horns on it because it's got massive horns and it's a big show, big dragons.
Slain at Rook's Rest by your king, to Aegon!
The victory parade with the dragon head was a massive amount of wagons and horses and characters that needed to march through the streets. It was a challenge to move that parade back and forth. You could never turn it round and reset back to a first position easily. You had to unhitch all the horses, push the wagons back, push the horses back, re-hitch again. It was 15 minutes before you could roll the cameras again, so that was challenging.
Trujillo was built for medieval parades, for sure. A lot of our street-to-street based shooting was actually done in Trujillo because it offered these wider streets and these grand squares and the right looks with the buildings. So it definitely lent itself very well to staging this action.
Dragon Melis!
I thought the dragons was gods.
It's just me. Shooting in Spain was surreal because the set is it's just there. You know, I can understand why they shoot there. The other thing about Spain, it was an opportunity to spend time with some of the cast, and it's always nice to meet your co-stars.
I find the stuff that they managed to do when we're away, like dressing up Cáceres. That's how you pronounce it. Someone told me that in Spain.
Don't tell anyone. Pretend camera.
You know, to look like the Game of Thrones film set, or Trujillo, which we shot in as well, or, you know, I find that stuff pretty amazing.
I think that's the key factor. To shoot on real locations has the feeling of reality, of course, but once you arrive here, it feels like the birth of the sets, where all of these locations started here, so you really feel that you are in King's Landing.
And action.
And also going back to the stage, back in England, it's weird because you can feel that this is there somehow, so you kind of feel both worlds in the different locations.
I think you always go through that process right at the very beginning. Should this be a location? So it had been my ambition on this season to build part of King's Landing.
So everything that you're about to see is season 2. So let's walk through. You can see the colours of the red keep now blend into the sandstone of Cáceres and Trujillo, with streets going off and clearly blue screens going behind the background there, so we can extend and put in the streets that we filmed in Spain. King's Landing, large set, now occupying several acres on the back lot. This section still remains dressed. We complete photography in 3 more days, and then all of the dressing will go and the sets will weather their way through the winter. And now if we look back from here, you can see the approach to the Red Keep and how this set all ties together. So it's quite an expansive set and allows us to play a lot of action out and to change it and dress it and replicate the areas of King's Landing to flesh out the story.
Aegon's story here is absolutely tragic. So they hide Aegon's body. I wanted to really shoot Aegon's litter and really get the sense that he is dead, you know, so that when they pull him out, it's a shock. One, that he's alive, and then to see the state of disrepair that he's in, how burnt he is. We also elongated that journey from the script because we wanted to follow him with Steadicam into the Red Keep, up the steps, through the hallways and into the room. Then I wanted to sort of see the lid come off, but still not see what was inside. So really sort of tease the audience with the mystery of what's inside that box.
We always thought about it as a dark scene. It's really gritty. Even the script talks about curtains being closed, supposed to be a grim and dark scene. So we always saw it that way. We wanted to leave a lot for the imagination. So somebody that's been, half her body's been burned, you can only imagine his wounds. Things like breastplate being stuck to the flesh, or, things like that we wanted to show, but not too much. So the dark environment helped, but it was a lot about the amazing prosthetic work that they did. It looked really, really good. I think people are going to be a bit in shock when they see Aegon.
When we did the Return to the Red Keep with Aegon, after he's been burnt, him coming back and everything being peeled off him, and us seeing what's actually happened to him was, a big one for Claire. So we wanted to make sure we sold that enough and made it kind of disgusting enough. So we start with our kind of pussiest version because he's been brought straight off the battlefield. So that would have been time for infection to set in. So we've got a lot of pus going on, a lot of wetness. Then we kind of reveal in stages how burnt his chest is and how extensive the damage is.
It's all fucking melted.
Oh, psoriasis, sorry. I don't know how to get up.
Self-esteem, rock bottom.
It was great. Tom was really into it as well. The whole thing of his burn is, it's not a direct burn, it's not a burn from the flame. It's where his armor has become super hot and it's burned into his face like a hot plate. Valyrian armor in Game of Thrones lore is flame resistant as opposed to a normal armor which will just melt.
So that was a big breakdown job for Tim, our chief of breakdown. And so he blackened it. He did some really lovely techniques on it. And then David, who does sort of specialist jewellery, and he made some of the chainmail look like it was melted, tried to make it look as real as possible of something that had been up in flames.
We love getting to those moments in the script, and you see that and you think burns and think, oh, there's going to be burns in a story like this with dragons. There's going to be some burns. And it's great because that's like allowing us to play and to find those characters and to research. We've got to think about the shooting schedule as well. It's got to be viable, that it can work every day. With the severe burns, it's a 6-hour makeup. You can't sustain that over the course of a whole show. Tom's been brilliant. He's been amazing. He's sat there and allowed us to do it.
It's amazing. The team I have around me are just phenomenal. They're an absolute dream team. The detail they can see, that they go, oh yeah, this needs doing. I just can't see that sort of thing. But we've all got to know each other very well. There's been a lot of time in the chair. We had a day where it was like close to 7. It's a process, but these guys are so good at what they do. If it looked rubbish, then you'd be devastated that you were in the chair for that long. But it doesn't. It looks incredible. And these guys put their heart and souls into it. It blows my mind.
The hour is late, and my dragon is hungry. Our terms are simple, Lord Bracken. Renounce the false King Aegon as a usurper. And bend the knee to me, or your house burns.
These are not a people that can be forced into submission. And then he's shocked here to learn that the Brackens would rather burn in dragonfire than submit to the Blackwoods. And he's frustrated, but he also says, hey, I kind of like these guys, and I could use people like this on my team.
We really believed in that scene. We really thought the tone of the scene would be really fun, but yet really sarcastic. You created a lot of tension, but it was just like a really nice acting scene.
I would sooner be the lord of bones and cinders than bend my knee before some heathen Blackwood cunt.
There was a lot of help from VFX. We previewed that scene because that dragon was, played such a big role in the scene. And it's just a dragon standing, which we haven't seen much. So it was very challenging, but it was really cool.
We choose fire.
It was storyboarded by Alejandro and Claire, and we, with the Cyclops there on the day, that was quite kind of involved in setting up
just the staging of the scene. How big is Caraxes in that space? Is he going to fit? We kind of prevised that. And on the day, it just, with every shot, it's kind of, you hand over the iPad and you can line it up.
So we talked with Matt about this buck so he could sit really, really high up in the saddle on this mechanical buck that would move as he moved.
Yeah, that was an interesting one where it started as a blue screen, shot at the studio, and we were like, no, we want to do it there. And the location was just stunning. So, the performances were all heightened, I think, because of that.
It was very different from our usual buck work. Matt, he enjoyed it. He loved it. Every location gave the show the scale and these amazing landscapes, so it was great.
I just loved being on a big, grand location like that. It was lovely to be outside, and it was raining, and I was on a plinth. It was like sideways rain. I think that's what really gives us the proper kind of scale, those beaches and those vistas, and it's a show that really needs that, and so it's good. I think as much location as we can have, really, I think really adds to it.
Having North Wales as this really dense set of locations that could play Dragonstone and the Riverlands and the Crownlands was really useful, and I honestly, I don't know that we would have been able to produce a season 2 as we did without the abundance of North Wales.
It just opens up the doors, because, as wonderful and as beautiful as these sets are and designed, you can't fit a dragon in Dragonstone, but you can definitely fit it on the Welsh countryside hillsides.
I spent a lot of time on the Welsh shoot, but anytime you're shooting on location, the thing you're going to come up against is the weather, and Wales gets every kind of weather there is. And I think that we have been overall very lucky in that the weather we've got seems to have perfectly matched the scenes that we had to film it in.
This rich scenery, and we're on top of mountains when the wind in our hair, like you can't fake that. There'd been torrential rain, but we were lucky not to be in that torrential rain.
Locations are a big logistics operation, just creating the facility to be able to shoot what you want and build what you want there.
They are headaches, and those places are often inaccessible to equipment, and we are not a small footprint. We have heavy equipment and cranes that we haul everywhere.
Some of these locations are quite tough in that they are special places. A lot of them are triple SI locations, which means they are protected, and so it limits some of the work, some of our greatest ideas, you can't achieve them.
And action.
There was a lot of remodelling, recontouring of the landscape to get those sets in. Other problems there is they're all triple SI, which is, special sites of scientific interest. So certain plants you can't move, you can't touch, you have to protect. So there was a lot of juggling going on there. That was just like a bit of a playground for us, clearing, leveling, bringing in, redressing, just changing it to what we required, really.
I think whenever you go to a different space, it informs you. The history is ingrained in the wood and the stones of a place, and that just influences you. You can't help it.
When I saw the work and I saw the artwork of season 1, I said to guys, you have to go to Wales. The mountains are bigger, it's visceral. There's something magical about it.
This does not belong to humans, it does not belong to us. And I think that fits in the world of House of the Dragon so well, about what is ours and what we can claim and what is bigger than us. Staring into nothing but landscape and nature with no man-made things, it does something to you.
It's amazing shooting in Wales. I mean, first of all, it's incredible that those kind of landscapes, we don't have to fly millions of miles away. They're right here. I remember I was driving up and I was like a tourist. I was nearly crashing the car because it was just so beautiful. Unimaginable how they got an entire crew of, I don't know, maybe 2,000 people up a mountain that was kind of almost impassable. I don't know. Yeah, brilliant.
It makes you feel like you're in that period of time. There's not really any cars, there's no roads, it's all just scenery. It's nice to have a change of scenery. I think if we was all in the studio for the whole shoot, we would start to go a little bit crazy. It's like going to school and going on a school trip because it just makes everything a little bit more exciting.